fake it till you make it. But until when? Let's get real.
All right. Hey, Arman. I'm Kanika from Mindsphere. Thanks for joining us. Arman, I know you from being the cool co-founder of Sleepy Owl Coffee,
Thank
right?
you.
And I think that's how the world knows you. That's how everyone in India knows you. And I have tasted the coffee personally, not lying. I have, even though I'm not a coffee person. That one ad of yours got me doing that. To be very honest,
Lovely.
it felt like I was missing out on something. So you guys are very successful in creating that
Thank you.
FOMO. Anyway, so Arman, Lights Camera Founders is about the authentic lives that we as founders live, right? So I'm guessing that today we both are promising that whatever is discussed over here is only honest and true lives and nothing filtered, right? No filter on that. So Arman, we'll dive right into it. The first thing I want to ask is describe yourself in one line.
Okay, I think I describe myself as a go-getter.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So Arman, the go-getter. Now, Arman, if I ask you, do you think you're successful? Would you call yourself successful?
No, I don't think I don't think I'd use the word successful to describe myself or Sleepy Owl for now. I think when you say that, you have accepted or limited yourself in a way. You accepted that this is it and this is success, and you put a barrier or a top line to that limitation, right? So I don't think I describe myself as successful. I think there's a long way to go, and I also don't know how one should truly, really deeply measure success. I don't know the measurement for it. So therefore, to say yes or no is very difficult for me.
That was actually going to be my next question to you. That do you have a definition for success?
No,
But
not
like
yet.
you said,
Maybe the definition will evolve. But I think one definition of success that I think of now, or that I would like to put it, is impact, right? But again, the trick here is how do you measure impact, right?
yeah,
So I think this will keep evolving. But I think the one thing that I feel, to define success is, I think, happiness, right? So if I feel happy, if I feel good, if I, if those emotions are there in me, then I think I'm doing something that's on the path to success.
amazing. And but sometimes happiness is also a very subjective word.
Yes,
But I love
all of these
how
are
you're saying if
subjective.
you're feeling it, yeah. Yeah, I think it's more about if you're feeling it, you know that you're going in the right direction, and that is something what you call you're moving
Vibe.
towards success. Yeah, exactly. The vibe. Hashtag vibe. Cool. Okay. Arman, moving on to a very intense question. What's your biggest fear in life?
I think I'm not afraid of failure. So I would say Sleepy Owl or me personally succeeding or failing is not something that I have a fear of. But I think the fear that I have is not being able to give back. Let's put it that way, right? Because I think whether it's fellow entrepreneurs, whether it's the community of people who are less privileged, or animals who are less fortunate in our world. I think my fear is that I want to give back, and I want to care, and I go out of my way as far as I can to do that. So I think there's a fear of not being able to do that is my biggest fear.
So, Arman, I just want to emphasize on this again, right? So you're saying that you do not ever have the fear of failing as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I don't. I'll tell you why. Because I think again, how do you define failure? Let's say tomorrow, 2 years down the line, 3 years down the line, let's say, God forbid, our products and our business, don't make it there, right? Would I still say that, we failed? No, I think we in the time we existed, we did great things. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So I will always look at it positively. I'm a very optimistic person. So I think, I don't get sad or depressed or, easily. So I just try to find the best even in that situation. So I would never define it as a failure,
Yeah.
I describe it as a stepping stone, and then I think we'll, hopefully have more opportunities, right? So
Yeah.
In every aspect, I think, it's not, I think failure has a very negative connotation to it.
Yeah.
I don't think it needs to be looked at that negatively.
Yeah. I'm just building upon that, right? We personally in our business have come across people who have failed and failed in the sense that they have tried to do things which have not worked out.
Sure.
And one fear which makes this failure very strong is that what will people think of me?
Sure.
How will the society see me? And you know that it's such a competitive space that we are in.
Yes.
How do you take that? Like, how do you perceive what others are thinking of you? And if it doesn't matter to you, how do you get yourself in that mindset?
Okay. So I think, I as a kid growing up, I always had a rebellious streak, right? Like, systems, rules, status quo is not something that, ever appealed to me, right? So I always had that rebellious streak, and therefore it became more like, log kya kahenge, or that just never ever impacted me and never let it get to me. So I think that it's taken all these years of like, from a kid to teenage to now as an adult, it's never mattered to me what people think, right? So I think that's now like built in, right? So therefore, even now when I look at what we're doing, what people will think is never a factor in wanting to do what I want to do, right?
Yeah.
So that's how I look at it. Yeah,
Amazing.
you can't see. The thing is also, to be very honest, you can't please everyone, right?
Yeah.
So you don't have to please everyone. There'll always be someone that's someone happy, someone not, and that's okay, and that's absolutely fine.
Amazing, Arman. Thanks for sharing that. Which brings me now to the next question, right? We both were, just before this actual recording started, we both were discussing that how you guys came into being in 2016, right? If I've got that year right. And I'm pretty sure that you guys have had your share of struggles.
Absolutely.
If I see not from a founder perspective, but from a consumer perspective, or from someone who's aspiring to be an entrepreneur, I would be like that, Arman has reached a great stage. I mean, Sleepy Owl Coffee is doing so amazing now. We see them everywhere. It has become such a big brand. And I'm sure you get that too, right? But now what I want to ask you is, do you still go through struggles? And if yes, what are those everyday struggles? We want to know about that.
Okay. So I think, at every stage of a business's journey, there are struggles, right? It's just that the nature of that struggle changes as you grow, right? So problems, struggles, issues. It happened in 16, it happened in 18, it happened in 20, it's happening in 22, it'll happen, as we continue to grow, right? It's just that those, those problems become bigger, they become larger. And also I feel like you grow alongside, right? So therefore you are more equipped and better suited to tackle these as you grow as an entrepreneur or as a person, right? Of course, we struggle every day. It's always rosy on the outside, right? But I think there are, tough conversations, hard conversations that you have about what you're doing, where you're going, how you're going, where you want to go, whether you'll get there, right? And these are the bigger questions, but to answer each of those questions, hazaro ladaiyan hoti hai har roz. So it's a part of life, and I think one should know that and I'm not going to say just as an entrepreneur. I think everyone, irrespective whether you're an employee, an entrepreneur, a homemaker, right? Like these struggles are there in everyone's life, and it's about navigating through these. So we just keep navigating.
So true, Arman, and I think it's a good perspective on struggles, right? Like people think कि अब तो कोई struggle होगा नहीं, but it's totally opposite of that, right? There is a new struggle which shows itself every day. However, having said that, whichever stage you're at in your life as an entrepreneur, like just to give you an example, right, to where I'm getting at. So for me, it was once I got to raising my first round, and the amount of hard work it took me for Mind Peers, I was like, there's nothing worse that can happen. I was like, the worst has already happened. And then when I got through that, and I was like, okay, now there's a new set of challenge, and I think now I'm going through the worst period. Now the question I have for you, Arman, is that at this stage that you're at, right? Like we're in 2022 Feb. Until now, since your journey started at Sleepy Owl, what would you say is the worst thing that entrepreneurship gave you, and you said to yourself that, Arman, isse worse nahi hoga, nothing can go now worse than this? What was that?
Yeah, I think I think one of, we have, of course, in our journey in the last 6 years as entrepreneurs, we've, I think there'll be two incidents that I can recall. One would be where, we had to talk our team into, maybe delaying salaries by a full month. And that was
Mm-hmm.
tough because, we had people who were dependent on us, and we had to, figure out how all of us, because we were fundraising and there was delays, so on and so forth. But the team stood by us, and at that point, it felt like that was the worst, right? And I think in March 2021, we had the first time we had a QC issue with our raw material, and we had to, do a lot of callback of products. Had to personally call and apologize to a lot of customers, and that fiasco, lasted for about 10 days, where to be honest, I don't think it can get worse than that as we move ahead as well. Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, those are two incidents which were terrible, and tested us as entrepreneurs. And I think more times you come out of it okay.
Arman, thank you for sharing that. I think the internet does not get to hear such realistic stuff every day. So thank you so much for sharing that. And now I'm going to ask you a completely opposite question, right? Which is that I know that if I would give you any other option, or the world will give you any other option to do anything in this in the work profession where it will shower you with a lot of money, fame, etc. I mean, knowing you and knowing, whatever we chatted about, I know that you will not go back to do anything but still be the builder of Sleepy Owl, right? So that brings me to the next question, which is, what is the best thing that entrepreneurship gave you, which you still say that, this is so close to my heart and this is the best thing that only being a founder could give me?
I think I feel like consumer love, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
and by this I mean that, like, we've ended up, it's opened up like relationships with so many, not just consumers, vendors, partners. I think this journey has made us meet such fascinating people doing such great things. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that, uh, that's what I like about entrepreneurship, is that you're doing something new every day, and therefore interacting with and meeting with and with new people. And I think somewhere along the way, everybody has, stuck their head out, stuck their neck out for us, right? And those are the moments that I feel like, okay, we're not alone. We have like
Yeah.
these other folks with us, and of course, consumers, no doubt, right? So, like, as much as my team says, listen to negative feedback so you can improve it. I
Yeah.
crave for that positive feedback as well, which validates what we're doing, why we're doing, right? Like, you need that push, that people are enjoying it, right? So the
Hmm.
complaint, yes, keep an eye out for the complaints and the negative feedback, and definitely solve for that.
Yeah.
But I love to at the same time keep that, yeah, there is the positive message, because there is, right?
Hmm.
So what they say, no, Arman, you get too gung ho and excited about these positive messages, but I'm like, yeah, that drives me, right? Like,
Yeah.
to know that हम जो कर रहे हैं उसका कुछ impact है, लोगों को पसंद आ रहा है, right? So
Yeah.
that consumer love is what I feel that entrepreneurship gives you very directly. Yeah,
And I think that's the beauty of building a product,
yeah,
especially for consumers, being in the B2C space, D2C space that
absolutely,
you guys are in,
absolutely.
right? It just every day gets you going. No, great on that, Arman. So we're going to take some turn in terms of now getting to know you from an emotional perspective, right? Arman and his emotions. So, Arman, do you cry?
Do I cry? Yeah,
Yeah.
I do,
You do. All right.
of course.
So, I mean, thanks for accepting that, because firstly, people say that men don't cry or shouldn't cry, and then founders, do they really cry, etc. So, thanks for letting us know on that. Now, Aman, if I were to ask you three emotions
Mhm.
that describe you on an everyday basis, what would you say?
Oh, okay. I think I'd say, I don't know if energetic is an emotion. It's more of a state of being.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what would be the emotion for energetic?
I think energetic could be an emotion as well, right? Like
Yeah,
always being in that state of, that
yeah,
emotional
yeah,
state of being like, I would say, good high.
yeah. Correct. So
Yeah.
I think that would be one. Second
Uh-huh.
is, and of course there are days I fail at it, but I think. I don't know. Again, what is the? I try and be humble. I don't know emotion for humble, but just um, Humility is an important virtue for me, and I always want to stick to that. So I don't know. Again, the emotion word for humility. What would that be? Because it's a state. It's a permanent state. I try and keep that emotion.
Yeah.
And I think uh, the third emotion. I'm happy.
Yeah.
I'm more or less happy, optimistic, happy. Positive. I don't do too well with the unnecessary stress. Like it comes, I'm like, theek ho jayega. Like it's not a big deal. Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, so I'm in a happy state usually.
Arman, what I'm deducing from all of this, and I'm tying it back to how you described yourself in the first question, go getter.
Yeah.
So being energetic, being always down to earth, humble, knowing your roots. And the third that you said that ho jayega, right? Like having that attitude ki, yeah, stress is part of it, but we'll get it done whatsoever. So it's a very positive outlook. I think all
Absolutely. I
of
think
these
you
three
summed
connect.
it up. You summed it up quite well.
All of these three connect very well to say, and I think you are giving us those vibes. I'm sure when people view this, they are going to get that vibe from you that it's a very cheerful attitude that I think you have to yourself. So that's great, Arman. I'm always I'm now nearing towards the end. I just have one question, and then we're going to get into this fun game that we call this or that, right?
Okay.
So my last question to you is that which is this one entrepreneur that you really get your inspiration from? Could be anyone globally, could be anyone in India, but one entrepreneur that you really
I think
look up to or have been
it's always
inspired.
difficult to pinpoint one, right? To
Yeah,
be very honest, and but I'd say I'd base it off the book Shoe Dog by Phil Knight.
yeah,
So I feel like and it's not like I have a personal attachment to Nike or anything like that, but it's just that I think that journey, right, into
mm-hmm.
what it is today. I think I really look up to that. I think it's phenomenal. It's fascinating. It's full of risks and daring. Another one would be the founder of Patagonia, because I think that sort of sums up a complete sort of business, and like not just a business. It's much more. Uh,
Yeah.
so I think that would be the other one. Getting
Amazing. Thanks for sharing that, Arman. We are getting into the fun segment now, this or that,
all of
just
this
to
was fun,
know
Kanika.
just to know you a bit more better. So let's start with it. We'll get right into it. Okay. So you know the rules, right? You just need to choose either of the options, whichever you prefer.
Done.
All right. So we'll start with an easy one. Beach or mountain?
Mountain,
Summer or winter? It's obvious.
summer,
Okay. All right. Fundraising or product building?
product building,
Work from home or work from office?
in between,
In between. Okay. This is going to be a tough one, or I don't know, a simple one. So, coffee or beer?
coffee,
Cold coffee or hot coffee?
cold coffee,
Okay. College life or school life?
college life,
All right. Sums up pretty much, Arman, everything about you.
or
I think
college life,
that's
school
that's
life.
all. That's all I had from my side. I think from a concluding note, I just want to ask you two things. Feel free to share whatever you want to share about it. One, is there something that you want to tell us about Sleepy Owl that people generally outside don't know? Whatever. It could be a pride moment. It could be something that you guys face, which you already shared before, but something that you feel we as consumers don't know and you would just want the world to know. Maybe it could be like fun team, whatever it is, number one.
Okay.
And number two, what does mental health mean to you?
Okay.
Those are the two things.
I think the first one is, I'm sure some people know and some don't, but none of the three founders have any experience or any history in F&B or FMCG, right? So we're we're all three of us have come from very different backgrounds to get into this space.
Okay.
So, and the reason I'm saying this is because just to let the world know we're trying, we're doing our best, and you might like something we do, you might not like something we do, but know that we're, innovating and experimenting with, without any prior. So what we bring to you is what we love, basically.
That's fun fact.
It's what we love.
Yeah. So Arman, if I can ask there. So I know you are a law graduate. Mm-hmm. What about the other two
co-founders? My co-founder Ashwini is a law graduate as well. We met in law school together, and Ajay is a banker. He and Ashwini went to school together. So the three of us just for our mutual love for coffee got into this business. A mutual love for food and beverage and being entrepreneurs got into this together. And
Yes.
from then on, all the product development, has happened in-house. The branding, the ideas is all in-house. So it's just a reflection of who we are.
Yes.
So yeah, we just hope you like who we are and what we do.
That's indeed a fun fact. And I think that what tells people is that you don't really have to belong to what you're building.
True.
Because it could be just your own customer perspective, a consumer love for what you're building, rather than belonging to that industry. So I think that's a great way. And Arman, anything on what your thoughts are on mental health?
I think, I think mental health for me personally means peace of mind. And again, there's, it's very, very difficult to define what that peace of mind is and means. But I think, you have to be at peace with who you are, what you're doing, what drives you. And I think when you are at peace, you will be in a state of, good mental health. And, so that's what it means to me. My perspective on, how mental health is currently perceived, I feel definitely understudied, under talked about, under everything, and therefore, my simple reason for agreeing to do this very quickly is because I felt like, anything to support what you're doing. So, there was no way it's going to be a no. So I'm like, yeah, what you're doing and the impact that you're probably making, if having me here in any way or form helps you reach out to a new audience or gets more clicks, more engagement, more views, I'm at your disposal, because this is the least I can do, indirectly to support your cause. So that was it.
Thanks so much, Arman. Very heartfelt, and I feel that it didn't just feel that I was talking to you for the first time. It was so good knowing and, doing this with you. It was literally very authentic and fun, which is the whole idea. So thanks so much, Arman.